Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. April Whitney here. So today's topic is intermittent fasting. I tried it for 2 weeks, 14 full days, and then I discontinued it because I was experiencing some side effects that were not desirable. So today I'm going to talk about how my experience went and explain to you what intermittent fasting is and if I recommend it for petite women in general. Okay, so in case you didn't know, intermittent fasting is a pattern of eating. It's not particularly a diet, whereby you change the windows in which you eat and the windows in which you don't eat. A lot of people don't know that when you're sleeping is actually a fasting period. It's when you're not obviously eating anything, you're just sleeping. So your body is naturally going through, 8 hours without food. With intermittent fasting, you basically extend this window that starts when you go to sleep to later in the afternoon or the morning, early in the afternoon the next day, so that your window is longer than 8 hours without any food. So of course, everyone's talking about intermittent fasting now, and I first heard about it at a gut health event that I went to where a panel of nutritionists were talking about the benefits that intermittent fasting brings you for your gut health. I thought, hey, if it will improve my gut health, maybe I'll have easier digestion, maybe, I'll be more regular. I don't know. I was curious about the health benefits. I did not originally try intermittent fasting in order to lose weight, but I was curious if it would affect my weight in any way. Another reason why I wanted to try intermittent fasting was because I had found with my macros lately that I was getting kind of hungry at night and I had no macros left. And so I was thinking that maybe intermittent fasting would help me shift all my meals later in the day and then I wouldn't be hungry at night. And really that didn't happen. I basically was hungry all the time and just felt like I was starving. So here is how I did it. So I first started out with the lean gains approach to intermittent fasting, which calls for a 16-hour fasting window. So that means you stop eating your dinner or whatever your last meal is the night before at 10 p.m. and then you break your fast the next day at 2 p.m. So it's basically like skipping breakfast. And I decided that I would do my workouts in the afternoon, because if you do your workouts in the morning and then you don't eat for a long time, that's not a very healthy way to kind of recover after a workout, especially if you're trying to build lean muscle like I am, or maintain your muscle. So I knew that my workouts would have to be in around 1 or 12 p.m. if I was going to have that long of a fast. At the start, I noticed that I was pretty hungry, but I figured I would adjust to it. I didn't actually ever really adjust to waiting that long. And about a week in, I actually spoke to a certified nutritionist and she told me that the 16-hour window was really aggressive and that I should start with something a little bit more easy to get into, such as a 12-hour window or a 14-hour window. So I actually took it back a step and started breaking my fast around noon every day instead of 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. Overall, what I liked about it is that it really simplified my life, because I could just get up in the morning and have a big glass of water and I didn't have to worry about food until the early afternoon, noon or later. I basically felt like I had a lot of free time. So in the morning, basically all you're allowed to have is a little bit of BCAAs or some black coffee with less than 50 calories worth of milk, and that won't technically break your fast. So I did have my matcha, my morning matcha tea, and I had a little bit of almond milk in that every morning, less than 50 calories. And so I didn't really have to give up my morning ritual too much. It was just I wasn't eating in the morning. So I just really enjoyed that it simplified my life. By day 3, and guys, if you don't want to talk about poop, then I guess you can go look at some other account. But because I originally tried this out for gut health, I have to be honest with you guys and tell you kind of what happens with my number 2s. Basically, I just got a lot more regular. I basically went to the bathroom the same time every day and had a full poo, and it was kind of nice because you could kind of schedule it in, and it's great to kind of feel like you're regular and you have a healthy gut. So that was the biggest benefit for me, and maybe really the only reason that I enjoyed doing it. But of course, like I said earlier, I did discontinue it after 14 days for reasons that I'm gonna get into next. So I think a lot of people are curious about intermittent fasting because it sounds like it's this sort of shortcut to losing fat. A lot of people talk about the fat burning components or potential of intermittent fasting. I think this is a dangerous reason to get into intermittent fasting, and you should be really careful to jump into a new diet that kind of purports such big promises. For me, eating the same amount of food as I was before, I actually gained 2 pounds in 2 weeks, so a pound a week intermittent fasting. And my theory for this is just that my metabolism slowed so much by skipping breakfast that my BMR just dropped. And even though my activity level was the same and I was eating the same amount of calories, I still somehow slowed down my metabolism. And for petite women who have slower BMRs to start, this pretty much makes sense to me, because when we skip meals or diet, we can really quickly slow down our metabolism even more. So I think that as a diet for petite women, for that reason, it's not the best for us. Of course, you have to try it out for yourself if you're interested and see. Now, another thing to note is that intermittent fasting affects women and men differently. There's not a lot of studies of intermittent fasting on regular non-obese individuals. Right now, a lot of the studies are on rats, animals, and obese individuals. So there's not a ton of data that we're going off of, which makes this also kind of a risky diet for anyone who's trying it out. But for women in particular, fasting can really mess up your hormones, and that's because our hormones are released and they're very attached to insulin levels, which of course insulin is released into the bloodstream once you've introduced sugar into your body. If you have carbohydrates, if you have any type of food, and insulin comes in afterwards to regulate your blood sugar levels, that is all going to affect your hormones, when they're released, how much is released, etc. Hunger really affects women, and that's because, of course, it's our biological duty to reproduce. So when our body finds that it's in a compromised position, it's not getting calories for 14, 16 hours, it starts to freak out a little bit and our hormones kind of get out of whack. So basically, when our body starts to freak out that it's not getting calories, it releases these hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin, which just tells us to eat food ASAP. And this is what throws your hormones off. So women just tend to be a little bit more sensitive to intermittent fasting than men. And there have been stories on the internet of women losing their period, not ovulating anymore. This didn't happen to me, but I did experience some hormonal problems. So the biggest thing I noticed was my mood. I started to get pretty moody. I think this was partly hanger and partly actually my hormones were starting to shift. This was around day 10 that I started to notice it, and I started to wonder, should I stop this diet? I'm not feeling good on this diet. And well, it's not technically a diet, but this pattern of eating. And then I started to break out a little bit on my cheeks. They weren't full on zits, but they were small bumps, which I've actually never gotten before. Usually when I get zits, it's like a full-on breakout, but they were these little bumps that happened right here, which in my opinion was directly correlated to my hormones, because I don't break out often anymore, and if I do, it's usually because I'm very stressed or sleep deprived, or there's some life event that has caused me stress. So in my opinion, the intermittent fasting really started to play with my hormones and had some undesirable effects for me. So what can we petite women do who want to try intermittent fasting? First, consult with your doctor or your nutritionist and see if it's gonna be safe for you. And second, I think it's okay to try things, but be very aware and sensitive about noticing changes in your body and your mood, your emotions, mentality. Your diet really affects your entire body and your behavior, so you can't just think of it as a physical thing. I read that some doctors, such as Dr. Axe, who I really like a lot of his stuff, he talks about for women fasting only a few times a week instead of every day. I've heard that that can have some benefits, and that maybe skipping breakfast once in a while can help boost your metabolism, and it can have some of those gut boosting effects as well. Honestly, there really is no secret to fat loss. There's no secret to sustainable fat loss. It takes hard work, it takes clean eating, having a basic education of nutrition, and consistency. So I think that if you're looking for a shortcut to try to lose fat, intermittent fasting is not your best bet. And if you're petite, I would also say it's not your best bet, because it kind of slows down your metabolism. If you're skipping meals, that tends to not do well for your metabolism if you do it on chronic basis like I was. I also read that it's not the greatest for elite athletes, and it's a lot of energy that you lose. There's a lot of hours that you're awake without any food. And lastly, women should be careful. They should proceed with caution with intermittent fasting for the reasons we talked about. And of course, it's completely not recommended for pregnant women at all. It's not considered safe for them. So now I'm back to tracking my macros like I am used to, and I felt pretty much immediately better after I discontinued my intermittent fasting. I had been sort of reluctant to quit it, but I knew that I wasn't feeling good and I wasn't looking good. So I just thought, this is it. I gotta cut myself off from this. Just because it works for other people does not mean it's gonna work for me. But now that I've tried it, I can safely say it's not for me. So if you guys have any questions, concerns, experiences with intermittent fasting as a petite woman, I would absolutely love to hear them. Please let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative. And if you have any questions, let me know. All right, thanks for watching, guys. My name's Whitney. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.